so good at what she does. She's a business coach, she's a networking coach, she's a professional speaker. She's got so much great information. I can't wait for you to hear what this lady has to say. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Linda Smith.
Thank you, Gene. I want to thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you all for taking the time out and staying around to listen. What I want to talk about today is one little aspect of your personality. Because that aspect of your personality can literally explode your business if you tweak it to a point where you get better and better and more refined. And that aspect is your likability factor. Likability makes a huge impact on your business. In Tim Sanders' book, The Likability Factor, he makes this quote. He says that the choices you make don't shape your life as much as the choices other people make about you. Now that's big, because that takes all of the control right out of your hands. Or so it would seem. One of the choices that those people make about you is whether or not they're going to like you. And if they decide to like you, they're going to do business with you. Because we do business with people that we like. We certainly don't want to do business with people we don't like. They also look for the best in you. If you like someone, they're enthusiastic and outgoing. If you don't, they're loud and obnoxious. Right? Same person, same personality, but you see them from a different angle. And they also look for ways to say yes to you. Now, who in this room doesn't need yeses? Especially in this economic climate. So, basically what I'm saying to you is people who are likable and connect very easily with other people have happier lives. They make more money. They're more productive. They see more doors opening for them. It's just easier for them to succeed. Likability is going to impact your health, your wealth, and your personal happiness. They did a study at the University of California in '84. They went into doctors' offices and they conducted a study about how doctors treat patients that they like versus patients that they don't like. And they found that doctors spend a lot more time with people that they find likable. Their staff spends more time with those people, explaining and educating how they can help them, and they invite them back. They want them to come back for follow-up visits. So it impacts your health. They also did a study in '92 of marriages, and people who are likable have half the divorce rate of someone who's not. Basically the general population. There was a study done at Columbia University, and they went into businesses and studied the management styles and the way people conducted business inside an office, and they discovered that people who are likable are on a fast track for promotion, and they get generous pay raises. They get this even though they may not have the same academic background or professional qualifications of the better candidate who they did not see as likable. Unlikable people are punished in many, many, many ways. You don't want to be one of those. So, let's talk about what makes somebody likable. What do you think? Any ideas? Yes?
Eye contact and a smile.
Well, that's the specifics of it, and that certainly helps. I'm going to talk about that a little later. But basically, according to Nicholas Boothman, who wrote a book called How to Connect in Business in 90 Minutes or Less, what makes people likable are three things, and they all work together. It's your presence, which is how you look and the way you move. It is your attitude, which are the thoughts you are thinking, and you choose to think these thoughts, believe it or not. You may feel like you're a victim of your own thoughts, but you're not. It is the thoughts you think that really motivate your mood and your behaviors, and it is the way you make other people feel when you are in their presence. So let's take them one by one. Presence. Basically, people are attracted to you when they perceive that you are like them. So if you have someone who needs to list his house and he's a conservative dresser who likes French food and who listens to classical music, you're not going to send a person on your team who rides motorcycles on the weekend, dresses in black leather and got chainsaws, right? Because they aren't a match. So dress that person up, put them in a suit, then let them go see that guy and get that listener. So really that's all you need to know about that except for one more thing. If you can distinguish yourself in some way, whether it is with your clothing or in some other way, people remember you. So you want to think about that when you think about who you are as a selling agent and as a listening agent. How can you stand out? What can you do and how can you look or think or talk that is going to make that person remember you? Okay? In Nicholas Guzman's book, he used to be a professional photographer, and he chose to always wear red sneakers. He looks perfectly dressed. He's got on maybe not a suit, but a jacket and an open neck shirt, really nice slacks, but he always wears red sneakers. He's very respectable, but he stands out. Okay, let's go to attitude. Attitude enters the room before you get there. It literally, people can feel your energy from the attitude that you carry before you ever arrive. They see the look on your face, they watch your body language, and they make a split-second decision about whether they like you or not. So attitude is huge, and attitude is simply what you're thinking about. It's the difference in trying to meet that kind of person versus this person is having a real difficult time making a decision that we really need to get this person to make. How can I help them do that? That's a completely different way of approaching that person. Which way do you think is going to be more successful for you? The latter. Sure.
Good evening, everybody. Okay, you've been spending all night in the left side of your brain. We're going to move to the right side of the brain now. It's not going to be quite so logical. For those of you who were here last month, we talked about likability and the impacts that that likability has on your business and on your personal life, even your health. I want to continue that, but I want to go a little deeper into it. And tonight I want to talk about how to establish trust, because without trust, there is no basis for business. Nobody's going to buy from you if they don't trust you. And then once you find that trust and you know how to keep it, let me say that again. Once you have the trust, maintaining that trust so that they believe in you and you keep that client for a lifetime. And that depends on your authenticity. So we're going to talk about that too. Before any business can happen, 3 things have to occur. You have to make a first impression that is trusting. You have to make sense to the person that you're talking to. In other words, what you say has to be logical. And you have to create a feeling of emotion, positive emotion, in that listener. Until these 3 things happen, no business happens between you. There's no money that's going to exchange hands. We're going to start with the trusting first impression. In 1967, there was a professor at UCLA, and he published a paper. And in this paper, he said that 55% of what we respond to in communication is body language. And body language is simply your posture, it is your facial expressions, it's your gestures, it's a lot of other things too. 38% of what we respond to is vocal tonality. In other words, the tone of voice that you're using when you're speaking to someone. And only 7% of what we respond to are the actual words that we say. I love turning this around because what that means, is that we are impacting people. 93% of our impact is coming from nonverbal communication. He called this the 3 V's: visual, vocal, and verbal. And he said this, he said, unless all 3 of these pieces are saying the same thing, you aren't going to be trusted. Okay? If any one of those is off, it's not going to work. In other words, if your words are saying, I'm happy, but your body language and your vocal tonality is saying something different, you won't be believed. And if you're not believed, you're not going to get bought from. In other words, you're sending mixed messages. And when we send mixed messages, we confuse the listener. And a confused listener is not a buyer. So we have to stay congruent. And that's what this is called, congruency. So how do we ensure that we are congruent? Because after all, we are all human. Right? Okay. One of the things that you have to do is you have to get in touch with your own authenticity. And then you have to demonstrate that authenticity in a consistent way. In Tim Sanders' book, The Likeability Factor, he defines realness, and that's what we're talking about here, is how real we are, as the integrity that stands behind your likability and guarantees its authenticity. Now that's beautiful, but there are a lot of big words in there. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go to Webster's and see what they have to say about these words. Real was defined as actual, true, and I love this, not pretended. What you see is what you get. That's what people see as real. Nothing is pretended. It isn't compromised in any way. It is unbroken, whole, and genuine. Now think about what that means to you. And I want you to describe that person in 10 words. And then 10 words from a friend that knows you really well. So you're going to have 50 words on this page. And then on the next page, on a separate page, I want you to write 10 words taken from the list of 50 that you already have, that you believe in your heart of hearts is who you really are. It's